Welcome everyone to Oulton Park. It is Easter weekend and that means it is the start of a brand new GB3 Championship season. As you can hear, the atmosphere is building up. 21 drivers, 11 of them brand new to the championship, getting ready to start a brand new season in the GB3 Championship. 8 rounds ahead of us, a brand new circuit on the calendar for this year as well. Lots of new prizes up for grabs, one of them including an FIA Formula 3 test. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic battle throughout the season. Lots of drivers to get to know throughout the course of the season and this weekend. And here to take us through the new movers into the championship, let's go over to Piers, who has a little walk down the pit lane for us on media day to bring us up to speed with the new entries into this season.
And we've got some new drivers, some new cars, some new liveries, and we're going to run you through all of the ones that are here right now, starting with the new looking Elite Motorsport with their bright yellow cars. They've got 3 very strong drivers, this team. They've got Jared Weberski, who's making a move over from Fortec Motorsport to Elite this season for his 2nd season. Mackenzie Cresswell, the car in the middle we're just looking at now, he's going to be looking for a championship campaign in his 3rd, I think it's 2nd or 3rd full season in the GB3 Championship. And Hugo Schwarzer making his GB3 debut for a full season with the Elite Motorsport team. Look out for these cars in their bright yellow with the different coloured wing flaps. Weberski with the yellow wing flaps, Cresswell with the white wing flaps, and orange is Schwarzer, so they'll be easy to pick out. Next up we have the VRD team. VRD having 3 American drivers, both Sean Rashid, Nikita Johnson and Noah Ping. Sean Rashid back for another year, changing team from Douglas Motorsport to VRD. Then Nikita Johnson, a new driver making his debut in the GB3 Championship, also from Atlanta, Georgia. And then Noah Ping coming back once again with VRD for another season. He'll be fast, of course, getting a race win last year at Snetterton, and I'm sure he will be right up there in the times for most of the year. And his consistency in testing has been impressive, so we'll be looking out for a good season from all 3 of those drivers. Sean Rashid also looking like he's made good progress from last year, and he'll be looking for some solid results throughout the season as well. They all seem to get on really, really well as a group, so I'm looking forward to seeing if that translates to results on circuit. We've got some GB4 cars testing today as well, Fox Motorsport just over my shoulder, and Fortec here. Of course, Fortec fielding 2 GB3 cars as well. We've got Edward Pearson returning for a 2nd season with Fortec Motorsport. He'll be looking to build on the results he had last year. He's a 2nd-year driver, looking for, of course, to build on everything that he did last year. Fortec, of course, stalwart in the championship, very, very strong 2 years ago as well. And then Colin Queen is also moving up from GB4. Colin was a front-running driver in the GB4 Championship, making a step up to GB3 this season. He'll be looking to continue those good results he had in the slightly faster, higher downforce, more powerful GB3 cars. And the Fortec liveries, as you can see, white on top, red and then black underneath, so you can keep an eye on those drivers. The number 41 of Pearson and the number 62 of Queen. Next up we have JHR. They had a very, very strong season last year, especially with Joseph Loke, and Matthew Rees was right up there as well. They are going to be hoping to continue that strong form with a strong driver lineup which they have. A driver moving over to JHR is John Bennett, his 3rd season in the GB3 Championship. Now with JHR, 3 seasons, 3 teams. He's hoping that he can be 3rd time lucky. We've also got Josh Irfan, who sampled the GB4 car previously. He's going to be making a full season in GB3. And the 3rd driver is, of course, Patrick Hosenroder, the driver who has sampled us in Zandvoort last year, also with JHR, so using that experience with the team and bringing on to a full season. I'm expecting John Bennett especially to be a championship contender this year. 3 full years in the championship, a very strong team. He's won races, he's been competitive, so I'm looking forward to seeing him have some strong results. He'll be right up there, and we know how good the JHR team are. I mean, look at the drivers. Joseph Loke, of course, moving up. He had a great season last season, nearly winning the championship in his rookie year, but not quite managing it. Then we have a returning team again, but with a slightly different name. Previously Carlin Racing, then Rodin Carlin, now Rodin Motorsport in their striking black and white liveries. Louis Sharp, the New Zealander, who was very, very strong in British F4 last year. And then also we have Arthur Rojon, who's moving over for a 2nd season from Chris Dittman Racing into Rodin Motorsport. Now Rodin have been very, very strong up the front of the championship, and every year they've competed in GB3, if not winning the championship. And of course, they won the championship last year with Callum Voisin. He was very, very strong. So look out for them once again, especially I think Louis Sharp. He's been very, very consistent in the test days and test sessions we've had so far, right at the front of the field. I expect him to be a championship challenger, if not at the very least taking podiums and race wins. And then Chris Dittman Racing up next. Flynn Jacks from the Filipino and Australian driver. He'll be looking for some good results with a very experienced Chris Dittman Racing team, alongside Seb Murray, the Scottish driver who resides in the United Arab Emirates. So he'll be making some flights backwards and forwards, I believe, and he's going to hopefully use the experience of the team to have some good results this season. And then that leaves just one more team, one more team with 3 drivers anyway, which is High Tech, of course, a very, very strong team in the world of motorsport, but also in GB3, nearly winning the championship last year with Alex Dunn, but not quite managing it. Dunn also moving up to FIA F3 this year, but a 3-driver lineup for this team. Gerard Shee moving over from Hill Speed Motorsport into High Tech. He will be hoping for a strong season. Timek Kuharczyk moving over from Douglas. He was very, very fast at points last year. We'll be hoping for a more consistent campaign, and I expect Timek to be up there in the championship at the end of the year if everything goes well for him. And then Will McIntyre, the 3rd driver, another very strong driver from British F4, so he'll be looking to put in some good results, and I expect all 3 of these drivers to be regulars within the top 10 this season. Very experienced and fast team drivers with High Tech, and that we know that High Tech can produce a good car, often very fast in the straights as well, so they can overtake. And last but not least, Hill Speed in a brand new livery, red and black with white highlights. We'll hopefully be seeing them on the grid many times throughout this season as well. That's all of the cars on the GB3 grid in 2024. Who will come out on top? Following in the footsteps of Luke Browning, Callum Voisin, and many other drivers who are making their way up the motorsport ladder.
That Piers Pryor on our media day doing our spotters guy. He's now alongside me, Chris McCarthy. I'm going to be here for the first 2 rounds. John is out in Tokyo doing Formula E. He will be back after the first 2 rounds for the rest of the season. Formula E, definitely something the drivers you are currently watching could be progressing to do a little bit later in their careers. Lewis McGlade's going to be up in the box for us once again this season, and we've got Naomi Newman reporting for us this season as well. Piers, welcome back for another season of GB3. How good was it to be at media day and meet the new drivers and the ones returning?
Oh, it's great to be back. We're here at Oulton Park, sun's out as we are every year, bank holiday weekend. It's a good atmosphere here, but the racing is going to be excellent. We've got pretty much a half split between new drivers and old drivers, so some returning to try and to get the job done that they couldn't quite get done last year. Some new drivers trying to state their claim, and we've got some interesting stories from qualifying which we'll touch on very shortly. But no, great to be back. Looking forward to the first race of the season.
It's always a great place to start this, isn't it? Oulton Park bank holiday weekend, a split weekend where we've got the first half of the racing today, then we take a break on Sunday to enjoy our Easter, and then we come back on Monday where we are expecting a sellout crowd. You can already see in the background the crowd is building, and we've got some good weather today as well. Atmosphere is fantastic for these drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. I'm getting a bit jealous of the bouncy castle over there, actually. It looks quite inviting. So maybe on Sunday I might find myself over there. But
and you've got some happy memories yourself from here as well?
I do. My only GB3 race win came here in the reverse grid race. We'll skip over that. But no, it's a great circuit to drive these GB3 cars around. It really is a driver's circuit. Bumpy, technical, lots of curbs, high speed, barriers are close. Really a good challenge for the drivers.
Well, you mentioned the reverse grid race. We've got some changes to that reverse grid race coming in for this season, along with some other changes as well. Lewis McGlade's going to go over that now in our Format Explainer.
The GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, is run by MSV's racing arm, MSVR. The 2024 season will consist of a maximum 28 drivers across up to 10 teams driving the Tata's MSV 022 car. Each race weekend consists of 1 qualifying session and 3 races. The first 2 are held over 20 minutes and the third is a 25-minute contest, with the top 12 drivers from qualifying reversed on the grid, with the rest of the grid lining up behind them in their qualifying order. There are 24 races across the season, including overseas trips to Spa, Hungaroring and Zandvoort. And the calendar starts at Oulton Park on Easter weekend, with visits to Silverstone Grand Prix at the end of April, Spa and Hungaroring in June, Zandvoort and a return trip to Silverstone Grand Prix in July, and then with a trip to Oulton Park at the start of September, then the final showdown at Brands Hatch at the end of September. There are no required pit stops in GB3, but each car is only allowed to use a maximum of 8 tyres per race weekend or 2 sets, meaning tyre management is critical. The prizes for GB3 are twofold. An FIA Formula 3 test will be awarded to the 2024 champion, as well as the Jack Cavell Pole Position Cup, which awards each driver who claims a pole position with £250. The driver with the most poles at the end of the season receives a trophy and an extra £2,000, as does the team of the driver with the most poles. New for 2024 is the award of FIA Super Licence points. The top 5 drivers in the championship standings at the end of the season will receive FIA Super Licence points. Any driver looking to compete in Formula 1 must have accrued 40 Super Licence points over a 3-year period, and this year's GB3 champion will receive 10 points.
Lewis McGlade with our format explainer. Let's go back to him now and hear about the GB3 car, where there's also been some new changes, including some team radios which have been introduced for this season. Here's Lewis with all the details.
The car the drivers will be taking to in 2024 is the Tartus MSV 022. It's the same car we've been racing in for the last couple of years, but of course with some minor upgrades season to season. One thing that's gone unchanged is of course that fantastic 2-litre 250 brake horsepower engine, sending all of the power to the rear wheels. Brembo brakes both front and rear, obviously to get the car stopped around these tricky race circuits. And then the gears, there's 6 of them, all controlled by paddles on the rear of the steering wheel. As we look around the car, you can see the tyres as well. Pirellis all the way around. They get 8 sets, 8 tyres across the weekend. That's 2 full sets. And of course the upgraded rain lights that we saw last year in 2023 on the rear wing, as well as that main rain light at the bottom. New for 2024 though is the radio, so they can have conversations with the team and with race control itself. Looking around to the front of the car, and you'll see the adjustable front wing. Of course it's adjustable rear wing as well, so the drivers can make the car exactly what they need for every race circuit.
Some great changes coming in this year, super licence points coming in, but as Lewis talked about there, team radios as well. Piers, when you raced at this level, we didn't have team radios at this level. As a former driver yourself at this level, how great is it for the drivers to now have that addition of team radios this year?
I think it's a really good addition to the championship for 2 reasons really. First of all, the drivers have got that extra information from the team. They can hear about track limits and how they're doing in a session. They can plan their sessions a bit better. But secondly, safety. It's a really good addition. The race director can get directly in touch with the teams, and teams can get in touch with the drivers. So there's almost instantaneous communication about anything that goes on in the race. For example, a safety car, everyone hears at the same time. There's no relying on lights, which just reduces the chance of any incidents on circuit. So it's a great addition. I think that's something that is also, for course of the championships going up the level as well. They have radios too.
And good practice as well. I mean, our Formula 3 champions are either racing in FIA Formula 2 or FIA Formula 3. So I guess this is a good chance for them to now get used to that. That was talked about in the briefing earlier as well, wasn't it? The race director did say this is a good chance for you to now get used to this before you push on into Formula 3.
Yeah, well, effectively every championship onwards and upwards of here, regardless if you're single-seaters, GTs, prototypes, whatever, will have the team radios. And it is some sort of change, because any championship up till GB3, you're out on the circuit alone, just with your thoughts and your driving, and now there's someone in your ear. But it's something that you have to work around, try not to get distracted by, but also use it to your advantage as well.
And one of the drivers with his eyes on Formula 3 and that test at the end of the season is our top returning seed, Mackenzie Cresswell. We caught up with him yesterday during practice. Mackenzie Cresswell, welcome back to the championship. Great to have you here for another season. First of all, now we're here at Oulton Park. We've had practice as we're speaking to each other here on Friday. How does it feel to be back?
It feels amazing, yeah. I'm really happy to be back. I'm really happy to be racing. That's the main thing. It's really great to continue with the team that we had some success with last year. So I know everybody, no new faces to learn. So that's always positive. So we can just build on the momentum from last year and hoping to get some more podiums and wins and finish a bit higher up in the championship.
We had a fantastic season last year, of course, finishing in 4th place. The 3 ahead of us have moved on. Does that set high expectations for us now coming into this season? I guess goals would be to try and go and win the championship this time.
Yeah, of course, we need to win the championship. It's 3rd year this year, so no excuses. It wasn't the initial plan to do the 3rd year in the championship, but it's how it's played out, so I'm just going to give it my all and yeah, I think everyone in the team is on the same page. We need to win it this year. We need to be on it every single time we're in the car. So I think, yeah, we definitely got a good foundation and we got some things to build on, so I'm feeling confident.
And we begin here at Oulton Park. Tell us how this one is challenging for challenge-wise for a GB3 driver. It looks one of the more trickier layouts on the calendar. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's very tricky. I think it's going into the season. It's one that all the drivers have to prepare a little bit more for because it's so bumpy. It's very fast. It's very undulating, and yeah, it's old school, which is the main thing. You got proper curbs around here, so you can't abuse track limits at all. So the track limit is very defined, and quite often it's pretty much just a wall. So yeah, there's no margin for error around here, as has been shown quite a few times today with crashes and red flags. So it's one that tests the drivers a lot, but it's one that all the drivers enjoy because it pushes us to be more accurate and really just extract our performance 100%. So yeah, it's always a challenge, but it's always one that drivers enjoy coming back to.
Quite a narrow circuit as well compared to the 5 F1 circuits we have on the calendar this year. Is that going to put a lot more pressure on the drivers when it comes to qualifying?
It does. It's all about quality around here. It's quite often the case where you just finish where you start, make up a couple of places on the start, and that's it. So yeah, even if you're a second quicker than the car in front, sometimes it's very difficult to make a move just because it is so narrow and so fast. So all the teams will be focusing on quality rather than race pace, so I think it's going to be quite interesting tomorrow morning to see where it all shakes out. So yeah, it's something that is very unique to this place, so it's going to be interesting tomorrow.
And as we come off the back of this, we've had 2 practice days now, mixed weather. It wouldn't be a bank holiday weekend without mixed weather conditions. Tell us how you're feeling going into now tomorrow race day. Confident with the pace you've had across those two days of mixed conditions?
Yeah, I think so. Struggled slightly yesterday because the conditions were very changeable and we didn't quite maximise it when we needed to. But yeah, we had another session today, and yeah, pace is pretty good. We ended up just a little bit off quickest, but very slight amounts, and we know where the time is, which is positive. So yeah, we've got every right to be confident going in. We know what we need to work on, so I think we'll definitely be pushing for pole tomorrow. It's going to be very tight, as has been shown on the timesheet, so it's going to be fine margins between the drivers, and that's what the championship is all about. It's, the very, very talented drivers, very close team, so I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Car looks great. I'm sure the pace will be too. All the best.
Cool. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Good to hear from Mackenzie Cresswell there. Just over 20 minutes now before we go green. And when we were trackside earlier, Piers, watching Mackenzie Cresswell, P5 for him in qualifying. Let's pick up on his interview there, though. What were your thoughts on his efforts last season? 4th in the championship for him overall. I think pleased with that. I think he would have been overall, but where do you think he can improve now this year?
I think he would have been pleased. He was effectively, and I mean this term in the right, respectfully, best of the rest, because we had the top 3 in the fight for the championship. Of course, Voisin, Dunn and Loke took it right to the final round, but in the second half of the season especially, Mackenzie Cresswell really came on strong, and he's, of course, stayed with that elite team. He feels good in the car, feels good in the team. We know that team can be quick, especially, seems like every year at Silverstone they're rapid, so that's still to come. So no, I think he's been doing really well. He'll be happy with the P5. Solid start to the season, especially considering his start to the season last year was a little slower than the end.
Well, Mackenzie Cresswell has stayed with his elite team. Timek Harcek, meanwhile, has jumped ship. He's gone over to High-Tech. Let's hear from him now. Timek Harcek, welcome back to GB3. Really great to have you back for another season. We speak now at the end of final practice session. Tell us how it feels to be back and with a new team as well in High-Tech.
Yeah, obviously great to be back in the championship with my new team. Obviously it's great, and yeah, looking forward for the season. I hope for a really strong one. And yeah, the work so far has been great, and the last session obviously was the last proper run of the day, so everyone was showing what they can do, and it turned out that we're not too bad. We're in the mix. We're somewhere where we want to be, and yeah, tomorrow will be tied in quali, and we see what they can do.
High-Tech have a great history, not just in this championship, but in all the feeder series categories up to Formula 2, Formula 3. We've seen you on the podium last year, maybe not quite on that top step. Do you think being with High-Tech will help you make that extra step forward and get those wins and fight for the title?
I think so. That's the main goal for us to grab some wins, fight for the championship title, and without winning it's not possible. So I've learned quite a lot from last year, and I hope I can use it for this year and learn on my mistakes. And the team is super experienced, they know the taste of the winning, so we can use that.
And how's that been so far, working with them throughout what's been a challenging first couple of days for you guys? You've had all sorts of weather thrown at you. How's it been dealing with those and getting up to speed here at Oulton Park?
Yeah, obviously, I had to acclimatize to the team because a bit new environment, and I think it's going well. That the work rate of the team is well. I get on with my mechanic, with my engineer well. That's the main thing. And I think we just need to understand a bit what I want, what they want from me, and we can work on that, on this, some tweaks in the setup and stuff like this, which is always important to find that extra 2/10. And I think it's going in a right direction, what I can see from it, because it was quite challenging first couple of days of testing. But this last session showed that we're there or thereabouts, and I'm happy with the team.
And already throughout today we've had some crowds coming through the doors, seeing the cars up close. GB3 always attracts a lot of attention. How does it feel to be back in a paddock, back out on the track, and seeing the atmosphere already building around the paddock on what is one of the biggest weekends of the season? Yeah,
obviously miss that and feeling, every time you get, the first weekend of the year it's a bit stressful, it's a bit, you don't know what to expect, there is so much going on around you, but that's fun, that's challenging for us as well, for drivers to be back there and you have to push straight on, and but it's great, I enjoy it, and if everything's going well, it's obviously going to be good.
And these championships, I guess, is all about momentum, point scoring. For yourself, do you have certain goals, or is it just get out there and score as many points as you can in this first round?
I think that's the main from your rivals, being consistently in that top 5, top 3. I hope to do that, and if we'll be able to be fast all year round, what it looks like, then for sure we can challenge for the title.
Well, Timek, thank you for taking the time to speak to us, and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear from Timek Harcek there. You can see atmosphere building up very close. Ginetta Junior Racing going on in the background. Just under 20 minutes to go. Qualified P6 did Timek earlier. One of the drivers that has switched teams, Piers, has gone over to the high-tech Pulse 8 team. Didn't quite get on the top step of the podium. We spoke to him about that in his interview earlier. Do you think that move, going to a team as experienced as high-tech at all levels, will help him get on to the top step this season and really push for that title?
I think it's no coincidence that high-tech are one of the strongest teams in this paddock. They're strong in F3, they're strong in F2, and they're strong in this paddock, of course, nearly getting the championship last year with Alex Dunn taking it to the last event, and the year before, of course, winning with Luke Browning. So we know it's one of the best teams, and we also know that Timek Harcek on his day last year was one of the fastest drivers on the grid. There's no doubt about it. He was rapid at Snetterton, a few other places, I think Silverstone as well. He was right up there in terms of qualifying, but things just didn't quite go his way. Lacked consistency first season in the championship. So he'll be hoping, with the team's experience and their speed in the car, and then his experience that he's gained since last year, he'll be mounting a championship challenge, and I expect him to be up there by the end of the season.
And what can a fresh start for a driver like that do when you move teams? Do you think it can just help reset a driver? Not like he needed it as such, but do you think it can help for a fresh title assault?
A lot of the young drivers' performance at this stage of their career is confidence, I'd say. Most of the drivers on this grid have got a huge amount of talent, and they can, on pace are probably pretty comparable, but when you've got a team around you that you feel like are helping towards you, and you just get on with them as well. It's not even, there's right and wrong. Two different teams will do things in a different way, but it might suit one driver more than another. So Timek clearly feels like he's got the team around him and high-tech to push him forward for the season going forward.
Well, you can see the very close racing that we've got going on in the background. We expect a lot more of that going on a little bit later when the GB3 cars go out, and that's going to be happening in about 15 minutes. So let's get to know a little bit more about this place. Lewis McGlade is going to take us for a tour around the Oulton Park circuit, and then this man, Piers is going to take us for a hot lap. Let's go and take a tour of the Oulton Park circuit now.
Let's take a look at the first circuit we're racing at in 2024, of course, the Oulton Park International Circuit. Plenty of good overtaking opportunities around here if you are brave. The Old Hall corner, that first turn, then the drop down the hill into Cascades. Island Bend and Shellows, a little bit too narrow for my liking, completely flat through Island Bend, but you can make something stick into the Shellows hairpin. You've got the Britain chicane, then the Hislop chicane, up Clay Hill for after Knickerbrook, then into Druids corner, one of the best in British motorsport. Flick it through that 2 apex right-hander, and then into Lodge corner. The drop down the hill and then back up through Deerleap onto the start-finish straight. It is tricky to make moves around here, but it is possible. Not for the faint of heart. You've got to be brave if you want to make it stick around the 17 turns. 2.7 miles all the way around. And one of the major features around here is not just the 22 metres of elevation, but of course how narrow this circuit is as well. Very, very tricky. Arguably one of the hardest circuits we'll deal with all season.
Let's ride on board the Oulton Park International Circuit with one of the Chris Dittman racing cars. This is an awesome circuit and really challenging for the drivers. First corner, Old Hall, nick the curb on the apex, watch out for track limits on the exit. Now we're dropping steeply downhill for Cascades. Down the bump, use the compression, all the way to the curb on the inside, and watch out for the track limits on the exit. Once again, a short breather now as we head towards the completely flat out island corner. Turn in completely flat out to the middle of the road, then back to the left-hand side to open up Shell Oils. Get down, use the banking on the inside. Traction is difficult there, can easily spin the inside rear wheel if you're too aggressive on the power. Now, Britons, use the curb on the left, car goes light. Click the curb on the right-hand side, and again, watch out for track limits on the exit. We head over the hilltop, trying to reduce the amount of road we use before we brake on the left-hand side to open up the Knickerbrook chicane. Clatter the curb on the right, nip the curb on the left to the middle of the circuit, then open up the run towards Clay Hill. Again, another short breather, completely blind here, just trusting where the track goes, and it's all about setting ourselves up for Druids. Completely to the left-hand side, under the trees, first apex hit, second apex just missed. Watch out, the circuit comes up quickly on the exit, one corner to go. Braking extremely late now. Braking downhill, the corner is banked on the inside, then goes light again on the exit, and then Deerleap to complete a lap of the Oulton Park International Circuit. What a circuit, and let's see how the racing is going to unfold this weekend.
Welcome back to Oulton Park and the assembly area. Great to have a track guide there with Lewis McGlade and a hot lap as well with Piers Pryor. Well, this is it now, Piers. We've had testing, we've had the media day, we've had practice, we've had qualifying, and now it all comes down to this. You've been a driver at this level. Tell us how it feels when you get into this assembly area, you jump in these cars for the first race of the season. How is it as a driver?
It feels like the biggest deal of the year because you've potentially worked towards this moment all winter. You've done a lot of testing, or some of the drivers have done a lot of testing. They've been, perfecting their qualifying performance. They've executed in qualifying, and then it all comes down to this, as you just mentioned. First race of the year, Oulton Park as well. It's a tricky circuit. It's technical. You can easily make mistakes out there. If you hit a bump wrong or just, go a bit wide, there's no margin for error whatsoever. And, it's going to set up your year. A lot of the drivers will be hoping to have a strong start and, maybe show what they can do for the rest of the season. Some drivers will be happy with their qualifying towards the front of the grid, some maybe not so much. And actually, James Headley right at the back of the grid is one of the drivers who I was expecting to be near the front, and the qualifying didn't go his way. I haven't actually heard whether it was a car or issue or whether he just couldn't quite get the laps in himself. But, I'm expecting him to try and come through. And then we're going to have a very, very close battle in the top 10 especially.
I'm going to go and see if I can speak to John Bennett, who's on the front row, very quickly whilst he's getting ready. We've had a chat with our pole sitter, Louis Sharp. Let's see if we can speak to John Bennett very quickly whilst he's getting his crash helmet on. John, see if we can grab a very quick word. We'll wait till you've got your crash helmet on. Had a very good qualifying, put it on the front row. John, how are you feeling? Front row for the first race of the season. Couldn't have got a much better start than that.
Yeah, feeling good. Obviously we're going for pole, but P2 will do. It'll all just be about the race start for this one. the launch off the line, and then settling into the rhythm of the race, and seeing what happens.
We spoke about it earlier. I think how qualifying is critical around here. You've set yourself up nicely now for the weekend, so I guess it's get some good points on the board to get the season underway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a long season. This is only the first race of 24. Just start banking the points now and move on.
Good luck. Good luck for the race. We'll let you get in the car and belt it up there. So good to hear from John Bennett. We can see behind us as well, Ugo Ugachukwu is jumping in as well. We'll know him from racing in the likes of British F4, Italian F4 as well, fought for the title in that as well. Exciting to have him in the championship this year.
Oh yeah, he's a very strong driver. We know he's going to be good, of course, on the McLaren driver program as well. So one to watch in the future, and great to have him for a few rounds this season.
Let's move then next along. Gerard G. Really well for him, 4th place overall. We were watching him through Cascades, was really pushing it through there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very much on it, pushing hard, and very good
slightly.
very good to see him pushing on, and also move on from last year's experience he had in a different team.
Well, let's. One person we haven't spoke to yet is our pole sitter, Louis Sharp. Now, he got the biggest margin for pole position since Ricky Collard in 2016, who's actually racing in British GT here this weekend. Let's go and hear what he had to say to Piers Pryor after qualifying.
Louis Sharp, first round in the championship, first qualifying of the year, double pole position. That must feel pretty good.
No, it does feel really good. I was enjoying myself out there. It's an awesome car, an awesome championship, but also a really cool track. But no, I got to give a big thank you to the team. They've worked really hard over the winter to get me up to speed in the GB3 car, but also to make improvements on the car as well. So no, I think this shows all the hard work that we've all put in is kind of paid off. Obviously, it's only the first qualifying of the year. There's a lot more that can still happen, but no, it's definitely a good way to kick off the year.
Well, I was watching down qualifying at Cascades, and it looked like the car was pretty nailed through there. You were very smooth, and it seemed like you went to the top of qualifying at the start, and then the second set of new tyres. Did you find a little bit extra because you really opened the gap to the rest of the field?
Yeah, to be honest, the first run was a bit scruffy. I didn't really necessarily put it together completely. The second run, again, was a little bit scruffy. I probably got to clean it up a little bit, but the lap I did do was pretty good. So no, the car was, like you said, it was pretty hooked up around there. And no, like compared to practice yesterday, I was already happy with the car. But then now going into quali today, it was a step even better. So no, a big thank you to the team.
You say scrappy, but you were quite a decent way ahead of second place, and it's a great start to the year. Let's look ahead to the races now. Of course, first race, you've got the best starting position. What's going to be your outlook for the first weekend of this season?
I mean, obviously, starting from pole, I'd like to stay there. Obviously, I've never done a start in GB3, so I know I've got John behind me, who's in his 3rd year, so he's going to be good. But I think if I can get it off the line well and keep it in front, I don't see how. I mean, with how hard it is to pass, I don't see how it's going to be able for anyone to make a move unless obviously I'm really slow or I make a mistake. So I think as long as I can lead after the first lap, I think if I just keep it clean, we should be all right.
You mentioned the race start. Have you had an opportunity to have a few practices?
I've done a couple, probably not enough, but no, I'm confident. I think the starts that we have done, the team were pretty happy with as well. So obviously it's the real thing now, so it could be different, but just get off the line well, that's what I'm trying to do.
We'll see if you can do that in the first race later on. Cheers, Louis.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the assembly area. Great to hear from Louis Sharp. What a time to break that record that's sat since 2016 in terms of the biggest margin for pole position. Absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, he's going to be over the moon with that. To come in the championship, first qualifying session, and stake his claim. Yep, I'm here for a good season. He's probably my pick for the championship, even though he's a rookie. The consistency is showed in testing so far. He's been up the front of pretty much every test session. He's going to be right there, but pushed hard by John Bennett. And there's so much talent in this grid, and it's going to, was it less than a second cover down to 13th place?
Yeah, he comes in, of course, as British F4 champion. We have seen him testing in FIA Formula 3. He went out to Wimala, wasn't very well though during that test. He did mention to us, if he can go and win now this championship, he will win a test in that, but he's certainly a driver that's got his eye on that. We've got a special guest coming over, Jonathan Palmer. We'll have a quick chat to him. We'll have a quick chat. How happy are you, first of all, with the turnout here we've got on the grid this year? 21 drivers, 12 nationalities, 11 new faces, drivers from all around the world, and champions coming in as well. You must be incredibly happy with this.
Absolutely, I'm thrilled, and that GB3 has really established itself now as somewhere where if you can win in GB3, frankly, you probably are Formula 1 material. when we look and see, obviously, Luke Browning, our previous champion there, and leading the FIA F3 Championship. Zach O'Sullivan doing a great job. You know, it's so competitive. The drivers love the car, particularly after F4, and it's attracting drivers not just for the first year, but second year, third year, which means the quality is really tough. And for Louis Sharp to come in here out of F4 and put it on pole like that, it's highly impressive. But you know, it's not going to be easy. But it's just so exciting watching the talent, the pressure they're under, the qualifying now in the race. It's great. I love it. So I've just come and see the first racing of the 2024 season to see, you know, how they get on, who's who, meet a few people, and start the excitement.
And the top three from last year, all up in Formula 3 this year, all the champions either in Formula 2 or Formula 3. So we're staring at essentially the drivers that are going to be racing on the Formula 1 support series going forward.
And exactly, and of course Formula 1 I think is better than it's almost ever been. I just love watching Formula 1 now. It's far more of a meritocracy than it probably ever has been. If you're a really quick driver, you're going to get yourself a drive properly, which is exactly the way it should be. And of course the Brits are doing so well too, whether it's obviously Lewis is a legend, George Russell too, and he's one of our ex-BRDC F4 drivers. Lando had a race in the British F3, which is the former name for GB3. It's a great opportunity for young British drivers coming through. We've got the channel now, we've got the pathway, and the key thing is the credibility. And you know, you'll know, Chris, that you know, whether it's FIA F3 teams, F2 teams, they know about this championship, and they know if you can win in this, you are a quick driver, and they would like you in their car. So that's the reputation we've got, and it just gets reinforced every year, which is tremendously exciting.
Thank you very much, Speak for us. We'll let you go and get a good seat, Jonathan. Thank you very much. Jonathan Palmer there, of course, the brains behind all of this. He's going to go and now get a good seat. Piers, you're almost going to have to go and get a good seat. We're going to just ask you very, very quickly your thoughts ahead of the race, very quickly.
It's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I think we're going to leave it there. Piers is going to go and run off to the commentary box. Cars are now on their way. It's time to go racing in 2024 for the GB3 Championship.
And so the journey begins, looking for another crown in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Our journey begins at Oulton Park. We then head to Silverstone before our little trip to Europe. Of course, the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, a first trip to the Hungaroring in the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, a return to Zandvoort, which was fantastic last year. Of course, that return to Silverstone, 2 rounds there in 2024. Donington Park before the season finale this year at Brands Hatch. It is going to be fantastic, but for the first round and where the journey begins, as always on Easter weekend, it is here in Oulton Park. It is a fantastic, tricky, difficult circuit, narrow all the way around with so many unbelievable corners requiring so much commitment. Old Hall, Cascades, Shell Oils, Hislops, all the way up the hill to the excellent Druids Corner, double apex there, Lodge, back down the hill and up Dearly to complete a lap. The 17 turns of Oulton Park are brutal at the best of times, and the 2.6 miles do not let up on any occasion. Elevation is one of the main talking points around here, as is the narrowness. They are heading round to the grid, getting ready for the first race of the year. This has been a long time coming. Let's take a look at the grid. Louis Sharp, John Bennett starting on the front row of the grid. Third position, it's Ugo Ugachukwu, then Gerard Shee with his best qualifying this season, well, obviously. Mackenzie Crespo in 5th position with Timothy Harchik in 6th spot before we get to the 4th row of the grid. Will McIntyre on debut with Arthur Rojon in 8th position. He was fantastic around here last year. Jared Bursky, Colin Queen on his debut in GB3 starts from 10th position before we get to Sebastian Murray. Patrick Hoytson-Roeder in 12th position. Then, of course, we have Josh Erfen, Ed Pearson in 13th and 14th place. Noah Ping, Hugo Schwarzer on his debut for the Elite Motorsports team, jumping straight in from the Jeanettas Flinjakes. And then, of course, Sean Rashid in 18th spot. Aditya Kulkarni jumping up from GB4. Rishabh Jain down the order before we get to the final row of the grid. Absolutely excellent. James Headley will be down towards the rear of the field after struggles in qualifying as the drivers are getting themselves ready. I believe it is going to be a tough race. Obviously a tall order, 20 minutes or 14 laps around here. The expectation is that we will probably get to the lap count before we see the time around here, unless the safety car comes out, which it did, of course, do last year. It's one of those tricky ones. Marshall's talking to Sean Rashid and Hugo Schwarzer. I think they'll do the formation lap after this, so we'll see them work their way around and get those heats into the tyres. Obviously, when it comes to tyres, again, we will talk about this quite a lot throughout the season, about the 2 sets of tyres which they have on a race weekend. It is 8 total tyres, so 2 complete sets. They would most likely have scrubbed them in qualifying, both sets, so there'll be plenty of time for them to kind of deal their way through it. But of course, we'll have to wait and see who's going to come out on top in that first race of the season. I've seen a few people in chat jumping in, talking about some drivers. I mean, let's be honest, Louis Sharp has been excellent in that qualifying, grabbing the double pole in the first race of the championship and of course the second race as the formation lap begins. But I have had a little talk with some of the Rodin lot, and to be perfectly honest, they were saying, oh no, unbelievable speed, excellent speed. Not quite on the pace of Callum Voisin yet, but I'm sure he will get up there. Of course, the champion last year for the Rodin Carlin team, rather than now Rodin Motorsport. But it must be said with Louis Sharp, they're not sure about how he's going to get with the race start, how he's going to get with the racing action in this race. Take another look at the grid then. Louis Sharp, John Bennett on that front row of the grid. Ugo Ugachukwu, Gerard Shea on the second row of the grid. Then back it's Mackenzie Cresswell. Timothy Kuharczyk in 6th position. Of course, making his debut for the High-Tech Pulse 8 team. Was driving for Douglas Motorsports last year. Will McIntyre for the High-Tech Pulse 8 team. Arthur Rojon, who moved up 7 positions in the first race last season, by the way. And he started from 8th in this one. What that means? Jared Wawerski in 9th, Colin Queen in 10th position. Of course, the Fortec team used to have Wawerski, now they've got Colin Queen in this one. Seb Murray for Chris Dittman Racing, Patrick Hoytson-Roeder in 12th position for the JHR Developments team. Then it's the teammate of Hoytson-Roeder in Josh Erfen, Ed Pearson down in 14th spot, his second year in GB3, Noah Ping, Hugo Schwarzer on the 8th row of the grid, Flinjacks. With Sean Rashid in 9th position. Aditya Kulkarni starts from 19th position with Rishabh Jain, of course the Singaporean driver, from 20th, and James Headley from 21st. Now, obviously from the assembly area, one Mr. Piers Pryor has made a run round and joins me in the commentary booth. Should be a fun one. I'm so happy to be back. And do you know what I'm also happy about?
What's that?
The weather.
Oh,
absolutely lovely.
What a lovely day to go racing, and it's the first race of the season. Can't promise you the same weather on Monday, Lewis, but looking at the weather forecast, but it's going to be a good one. Great weekend of racing for everyone who's come down, and the team are ready, the drivers are ready, we're ready.
There's Tom Wallace.
Let's get going.
That'll be one. I know a lot of people will be like, oh my God, it's Tom Wallace. They love him. Obviously, the Rodin team has been there for a few years now. He was one of the main mechanics on Callum Voisin's car last year. I've been told he's on Arthur Rojon's car, but let's be honest, they kind of actually all work as a big team. And I'm sure you know this as mechanics stuff. They work as one big group. It's not just one or two cars you work on. You work on all of it.
Yeah, the teams, of course, work closely together. It's not like any of the teams hide the data between the drivers. They'll all look at each other's, the way they've driven the corners, the way they've set up the cars, potentially even trying, you know, if you've got a team of 3, you can try 3 different settings in a practice session and assess which one's the best, so that all 3 drivers move forward in the session after, which is one of the advantages of having a teammate.
Very quickly then, as they're all lined up on the grid, who's winning this first race of the season?
I reckon it's going to be Louis Sharp for the first win of the season, and he's my pick personal for the championship. But that's very early to call it.
Wow, that's so early to call it. I'm going to go with the Mackey's machine. It's going to be Jogan Bennett taking the first victory of 2024, and it will be his first victory of his campaign. Let's get ourselves racing then and get ourselves ready for the first race of the 2024 season of the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. As we'll get ourselves ready, it's Louis Sharp in his first pole position in his first ever race in the GB3 Championship. John Bennett starts alongside in the front row as we get ready to go racing here at Oulton Park. We are underway. Great start from Louis Sharp from pole position as he'll lead our way down into turn one. John Bennett with a good second translation on the race start, and they're all being attacked by Gerard Shea. Look at that, straight around the outside though. John Bennett was giving it a good go to try and take over the race lead from Louis Sharp. He was in the road in last season, and he's now trying to take over from it already. Has to settle for second though, because Louis Sharp holds the whole shot.
Oh, and in a battle for third and fourth place, it was nearly a move up the inside from John Bennett into Cascades, but thought better of it. It's now it's Ugo Chukwu going up the inside. Oh, and he's nearly going off. That is full commitment on the first lap.
So brave from Ugo Chukwu. Absolutely brilliant stuff. You've got the elite there at Mackenzie Crest. We're getting eyes. Someone's on the gravel. Someone was definitely in the gravel there at Shell Oils in the background. As we'll try and look back for that. We'll find that one a little bit later on. But wow. Drama already.
Yeah, oh no,
there
that's Adi Kulkarni in the hill speed, the lone hill speed entry, and he's got front right damage, which suggests to me that he tried to go up the inside of someone potentially, unless it's at the wall, but it doesn't look like he made it quite to the wall, which is good news in terms of his health, because it's not a place you really want to be going off Island Corner.
So fast, but again, safety car has come straight out, kind of as expected, really. We were wondering if the safety car was going to come out in this race, and yeah, it has done immediately. So Louis Sharp will be neutralised as our race leader, as everyone will calm their way down and settle themselves into the first race of the season.
Yeah, should we unpack the start a little bit? So it was a great start for Louis Sharp. We're still racing.
They are still going for it.
Maybe they haven't seen the safety. Oh no, the safety car boards are on, so maybe not everyone has quite seen it, but they should be hearing on their radios.
I was going to say they have team radios now in 2024. Obviously, I think obviously you race until you see the safety car boards. We got the safety car board immediately. Because of live timing and such. They may have been able to race all the way up until Druids. Either way, there was no major switches. Just a couple of little looks down into Lodge Corner where that safety car light was on. Into pit lane comes James Headley, and so not sure what's happened. It's clearly front wing damage, so I wonder if that's something to do with it. Did you?
Yeah, potentially. It's hard to tell at this point. They were near each other on the grid, but Headley would certainly have been looking to make some moves on the first lap. We mentioned in the assembly area with Chris that his qualifying was not what he wanted after being so quick last year and in practice. Yeah, well, he was last, wasn't he? Yeah. And that's not where you expect James Headley to be, especially in a returning driver with the same team.
But let's just clarify as to why he was in last. It was not about pace. It was about track limits more than anything else. The car was fine. I bumped into him in the paddock. I said, "Hi, James, you're right," and he gave me the cold shoulder. I understand that. I fully understand that. He was not best pleased. But I think, like I say, it was a lot of track limiting excursions, which is so easy to do around here, particularly at the first turn.
Yeah, it's so easy to do. It's turn one, exit of turn two, Cascades, and potentially even on the last corner. There's the areas where drivers can accidentally drop a wheel over the back of the curbs, which then gets their lap invalidated, because there is a potential advantage to be had by using more circuit on the exit of the corners, because effectively you can carry more speed to the middle, which is why then the penalties are applied. And unfortunately James Headley either pushing on a little too hard in qualifying, or the car wasn't quite where he wanted it to be, so wasn't doing what he expected. But this safety car hopefully will be removed fairly shortly, because it would be good to see us go racing as soon as possible.
Yeah, indeed. We'll take a look at a replay of the race start, of course. You can see there John Bennett he did get a really good run there down into the first corner, trying to get around the outside of Louis Sharp. That was that second translation of the start was actually really, really good. But it's side-by-side in the mid-pack. Ugo Chukwu, I think, was trying to go on the attack. This is where we saw the side-by-side for the race lead, though.
Yeah, who is Bennett trying to sneak up the inside, but Sharp just cutting his nose off, and Bennett, I think he's in championship mode this season, isn't he? But then that battle for third place.
Let's see if we can find out by looking in the background. So that's Ugo Chukwu obviously dropping back. But let's see if we can see what happened to the hill speed. You're looking for a red and black car in the background. I'm not sure, because we're focused on the midfield here. I'm not sure we're going to really see exactly what happened. Oh, no, there he's straight for the background.
Yeah, I think it looks like he's Kulkarni's gone to the left-hand side of a driver. One of the VRDs?
Maybe.
It's hard to tell.
That would make sense if it was Headley.
Yeah, so maybe Headley went at the inside and maybe closed the door, or potentially Kulkarni misjudged the braking. Anyway, we're purely speculating at this point. The long shot is, unfortunately, Headley has had to come in the pits and change his front wing. He'll be on the back of the pack, so he'll basically be back to square one where he started in effectively last place. Unfortunately, Adi Kulkarni, being the only hill speed, is going to start the year with a DNF.
And let's talk you then through the order at the moment. Will probably be a timed race, by the way. It's 15 minutes left to go in the race. I don't think we'll be getting the full 11-lap allotment, courtesy of the safety car intervention. It is Louis Sharp leading, John Bennett in second, Ugo Chukwu in third position with Gerard Shea in fourth. Mackenzie Cresswell currently running in the fifth position with Timothy Kuharczyk running in sixth. Arthur Rojon did make up a single position now into seventh position on the race start. Colin Queen in eighth. McIntyre in ninth position with Waberski in 10th. Huizenrode in 11th position with Pearson in 12th, Erfen in 13th position, Noah Ping in 14th, Sebastian Murray, then Jax in 16th position, Hugo Schwarzer, Sean Rashid, and then of course Jane Headley rounding out the top 20 with our retirement of Kulkarni, meaning that we've got 20 runners left to go in the race, but Louis Sharp is your race leader. He did really well on the race start. I was told by Roden they weren't 100% convinced by his race starts. Well, he's not done enough.
Well, sometimes, you know, the pressure and the adrenaline can push you one way or the other. It can either force you into an absolute rocket ship of a start, or you can have full wheel spin or full stall. Luckily for Louis Sharp on this occasion, he got away from the line exceptionally well. Potentially a bit of wheel spin in the second phase towards the end of first gear once you've released the clutch, because it's kind of these GB3 cars, it feels like you have to start them in two phases. You have the first bit, which is getting the car off the line, which is harder than in a road car because the clutches are very bitey. And then you've got the second phase of the start, a lot of power, a lot of torque. I think 240 horsepower these days, I think these GB3 cars have, or somewhere near there. And the rear tyres can't take all of that in one go in first gear, so you have to just blend your way in. And that's where John Bennett uses experience in starting these cars to just pull alongside. Tried around the outside of Old Hall, couldn't get it done. Had a look into Cascades, but again, we touched on it a moment ago. I think Bennett thought, you know what, second at the start, first race of the year, not a bad place to be on lap one.
Disappointment there.
British GT is back, and 2024 features another capacity 36 car.
A bit disappointed in all of that, for sure. He's actually coached this season by someone we know quite well, Max Maserati. Of course, who is helping the Hillspeed team. He was obviously helping Hillspeed in GB4 last year. It was Greg Bunton Racing, sorry, it was in GB4, wasn't it?
Harry Burgoyne Jr., yes.
Yes, and now obviously, I believe with Aditya Kulkarni for this season, trying to coach his way through. Safety car's not in this lap, by the way, as I think the Zoom Boom was taking a GB3 car for a bit of a walk.
Yes.
There to the nearest access point.
For the uninitiated, a Zoom Boom is a synonym for a telehandler, is what some people call them.
A JCB. It is actually a JCB in this scenario. It's just to clarify. Yes, we're talking about the big yellow thing that was removing the car from the racetrack. So that's fine. Again, everyone's just warming up their tires. I think they've probably got the call from race control this time. They'll probably be going racing at the end of this lap. It will be a timed race. We have 12 minutes left to go.
Be more like 10 by the end of this lap, probably.
Exactly.
So 10 laps, that's probably what, 7, 8? Well, 10 minutes of race, more like 7 or 8 laps, depending on how we get on, where we cross the line. So it's still a decent amount of racing to come. It's going to be close. It's going to be a test of Louis Sharp. You know,
for sure.
His second test of the year. First one was, can he get off the line, and then can he defend into the first lap? Did that. Tick, tick. Can he now do a safety car restart against one of the most competitive and also experienced drivers on the grid, John Bennett?
Who won this race last year? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head, but I can look up.
It was Joseph Loke, who
of course
was in his first ever GB3 race as well. How fitting would it be here on an Easter weekend, on a lovely day here on Saturday, to have it for the second consecutive year, someone winning on their on debut?
That would be interesting. Different team though.
It is, of course. It was JHR Developments. Well, I mean, to be fair, they're running in second place at the moment, so it could be JHR Developments once more. Joseph Lake was so strong around here last year. Of course, ended up third in the championship behind Alex Dunn and Callum Good.
He did, and also set the outright lap record on his way to that first win with a 1 minute 26.9.
No, it's 8.
28.6. 9-1.
I like how you're just trying to remember numbers. I almost feel like you plucked that out of thin air, mate.
No one fact-checked that. But anyway, it was the fastest lap, which shows quite how quick these GB3 cars are in their current guise, and it looks like the safety car lights are out, so we will be going green at the start-finish line. Drivers cannot overtake until the start-finish line, although they may go before then, basically whenever Louis Sharp decides that he's going to put the hammer down.
Louis Sharp then race leader, Bennett, Ugachukwu, Shea, Cresswell the top 5, Kuharczyk, Grosjean, Queen, McIntyre and Weberski the top 10. We are back racing here at Oulton Park, and Louis Sharp has the control in his Road and Motorsport car. Down through the final corner he will go at Lodge, back up the hill at Deer Leap, and we are back green flag racing with 10 minutes left to go in the season opener here in GB3. It will be Louis Sharp leading comfortably. Any side-by-side through the mid-pack? I don't believe so. Colin Queen was giving it a bit of a look, but was unable to do anything about it.
Yeah, Queen right on the back of Grosjean, and unfortunately running wide, which has hurt his exit, and now he's under pressure from McIntyre, who's behind him in the high-tech Pulse 8 car right behind him, and it's very, very close to this group here. That is Grosjean, Queen, McIntyre and Weberski. Weberski at the back of this group in the bright yellow car. Actually, Weberski's under pressure from Husenroder as well.
Yeah, Husenroder's trying to do something special here, of course. Not his debut. He did make his debut last year at Zandvoort with those awful conditions. It was absolutely horrendous out there, and still drove fairly well just to kind of deal with it, especially in that third race, doing whatever he could. They worked their way through the Hislop chicane, obviously very single file here, not expecting any major dramas thus far. I think they just want to get this race fully underway and complete that first lap of racing of 2024.
Oh, a little dart out there from Grosjean, who's now applying the pressure on the back of... No, that's... Yeah,
you're right. It's Grosjean.
On the back of...
Kuharczyk,
sorry. The grey cars in the sunlight, Lewis, is throwing me off there. But Kuharczyk dropping off the back a little bit of Cresswell. So that's the closest battle in the top 10 as it stands right now. It's going to be hard for Grosjean to follow Kuharczyk closely through Druid's corner very, very fast. That's still a yellow flag there that I saw. Is that green?
I don't know. Again, it's very hard for us to tell on the screen because it is so bright, but it is definitely green flags. There is a look to the inside as the number 20 Weberski's trying to get past Will McIntyre on the going back onto the start-finish straight. We've got Kuharczyk in all of that, also making a defensive move. Now Weberski's taking a bit of a look. Colin Queen also behind all of that in that red and white Fortec machine was having a bit of a look down into the first corner. That number 22 though, that's the one where the pressure seems to be building. That is on the shoulders of Kuharczyk with Grosjean behind in the number 18.
Yeah, it's very, very close up there, and I think Weberski's still piling the pressure, and he's just going to try and force a mistake here because we know how difficult it is to actually make a move at Oulton Park. Going defensive into Shell Oils is Kuharczyk, just blocking off that one of the few overtaking opportunities. Oh, McIntyre, sorry, Weberski on the back of McIntyre, one of the few overtaking opportunities on the circuit.
Yeah, the number 21 of Will McIntyre keeping that very distinctive new liveried, a bright yellow, cannot miss it, Elite Motorsports. Obviously, they've all got different highlights on, which I do appreciate. It is the blue for Weberski, it's white for Mackenzie Cresswell, and it's bright orange, isn't it? Is it?
It is
bright orange?
Well, if you'd have watched the car guide, Lewis, then you would know. But I think it's actually a homage. It's a combination of Elite's colours are almost always yellow, and also a bit of a homage to Garth Weberski's British F3 car from years gone by. Garth, of course, father to Jared, who we're looking at on screen right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much a racing family, the Weberskis, and great to see them back and committed to the GB3 Championship. There is our race leader, Louis Sharp, checking out by an unbelievable margin as he sets the fastest lap of the race once more on Bennett. But then here comes the conversation. Who's looking after their tyres and preparing for the race weekend ahead? Again, they only get 2 full sets, 8 complete tyres for a race weekend. They've got to qualify on them and do 3 races. How they want to play that is entirely up to them. But we do know that those more experienced drivers in GB3 will be preparing for the reverse grid race, which is shortened this year from the entire grid to just 12, so they can really make their way up the order.
Yes, it's going to be an interesting change because we've seen reverse grids decide the championships in years gone by, and a slight change this year with only 12 drivers being reversed, so that's going to make for some differences compared to the previous years, but we're still looking down the field and it's barely even fanning out, Lewis. It's still nose to tail stuff.
Yeah, this is showing how difficult it is to race these cars around Oulton Park. I mean, this circuit is really difficult to do a lap on by yourself, but when it comes to racing your way up, I mean, you know, you've taken a cheeky win around here, haven't you?
Yes,
talk about it.
Chris mentioned it in the build-up. My only race win was at Oulton Park in a GB3 car. we're just talking about reverse grids. I won't mention which race it was in. It wasn't a reverse grid. But anyway,
you volunteered that information.
yeah, I don't want to spread lies now, Lewis. But the reverse grid is of course important. We've seen it decide championships over the years, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how, especially the new drivers to this championship, because it's not a format that is in every single seated championship, and very few leading up to this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, still no progress coming in from Waberski, of course, jumping over to the Elite Motorsports team from Fortec. That bright yellow, distinctive bright yellow matches his helmet really nicely. So that's a 10 out of 10 for me. Has there been an issue, or is that just a time? No, it's just a time bug for Will McIntyre, who's just dropped down, I think. Or I think he moved around a little bit on the tab. I don't think it was anything major. I think it was just a timing bug.
Yeah.
I'm panicking.
Yeah, don't panic, Lewis. It's the race is still going on, and we're seeing Waberski applying more and more pressure. But Lewis has spotted something on the screen that the fastest lap was with Louis Sharp, our race leader, has now switched by not a huge margin, but Ugo Chukwu in third place. So that group at the top three is probably coming together ever so slightly. It was 1.4 at the start of this lap between first and third. We'll keep you updated on that gap as the race goes on, with 4.5 minutes remaining. But we're still with this battle. The bright yellow car with the blue wings of Waberski on the back of McIntyre, who is in the grey Hi-Tech Pulse 8 car. One of the three grey Hi-Tech Pulse 8 cars. They, of course, are one of the strongest teams on the grid. There's no doubt about it. We've seen that they won the championship in 22 with Root Browning. They came second and so close to the win last year with Alex Dunn, winning many races last year, and they're going to be hoping to extend that this year with a very, very strong three-driver lineup this year.
But then I've got to say, the three-driver lineup that Rodin Motorsport have put out this season as well is absolutely incredible. I mean, they're running first, third, and of course in seventh position. There is a little cheeky look from one of the Ardens. It's Hugo Schwarzer trying to keep James Headley at bay. So Headley's made a decent amount of progress. Of course, remember, he's had his front wing changed in this race, and yet still is trying to work his way up even further. It's Headley in that charcoal grey, a number 2 car, trying to get past Hugo Schwarzer with that bright orange highlighted Elite Motorsports machine, the 33.
Yeah, Headley, of course, we know he can make overtakes. We know he's a race-winning driver. He's got the experience, although he's actually had a bit of a poor exit out of the. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, he's had a bit of it was a bit of a poor exit out of Cascades, which has dropped him back. Potentially a bit of a hangover, maybe. He's a bit of underfloor damage or something on that car from the contact in the first lap. Yeah,
like I said, we didn't actually see the contact itself. We saw it in the background. It was almost certainly contact between himself and Kilcarney. But alas, maybe that car is not running at 100%. I said he's made a load of progress. I didn't realise he's actually only up in 18th position. I thought he'd actually worked up a lot harder than that. Hugo Schwarzer maybe struggling a little bit. His first weekend in anything this quick. Remember, last year he was in Ginetta Juniors, so it's a bit of a step up.
Yes, that's a big step up from Ginetta Juniors, which are on the package this weekend here with the British GT Championship. But these cars, I think, are like 20-30 seconds a lap faster than the Ginetta Juniors.
2 laps left to go by my calculation. Yeah, 2 minutes 50 seconds left to go, so there'll be 2 laps left in the opening race of the season. It's been a very calm affair. It has not been super dramatic. It has not been crazy. It's been very un-GB3 in a way. It's been very calm.
Yeah, we had the one issue, of course, in the first lap, in which we lost Adi Kulkarni, but then since then the pressure has been applied by many of the drivers, including this battle, which we've stayed with for most of the race. Although saying that, Lewis.
No, it's just it's that time. It's Colin Queen with the timing.
Oh, I see. Okay, so Colin Queen's transponder just dipping in and out occasionally, which means that the timing tower on the left-hand side jumps about a little bit. But Lewis was panicking, but fear not.
It's the excitement. It's just I'm ready. I was ready to be like, oh my God, all this has happened. But no, it's actually been a very chillax start. Louis Sharp continuing to lead by 1.3 seconds over John Bennett, who's now a second clear of Ugo Chukwu, who I wonder if Ugo Chukwu's kind of burnt his tyres out a little bit, just trying to close down, because obviously he was only 3 tenths behind Bennett a couple of laps ago, and that gap has now grown to a second. He's dropping back into the clutches of Gerard Shee.
You mentioned earlier on in the race that some of the drivers by this stage may potentially be thinking about tyre saving, and if Ugo Chukwu and Bennett have realised they're not going to have enough of a pace advantage to the driver in front to force a move without a mistake, they may well just be dropping back enough to get a bit more air on their front wing, which then takes a bit less understeer out of the car, which then eats the front tyres less, so that they're potentially just thinking a bit more ahead to the rest of the weekend if they need to use these tyres once more.
Yeah, of course. You know, if you again, as you all know, very much so. I'm speaking from a term of gas work. The less downforce you have, the more you scrub the more you rub the tyres over the race surface. Here comes Oberski. Oh, he had a look on Will McIntyre, but wasn't able to commit to it coming down to Lodge Corner. But that was the closest that we've had of an attempt to a move in this race thus far. Final lap of the race. Louis Sharp continues to lead by 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, Louis Sharp pulling out a gap once again, ever so slightly from Bennett on the last lap. But this battle will still go on between Waberski and McIntyre as we see Louis Sharp. That is the gap. It's now you can see a visible gap growing out, and everything's calm and easy when you're at the front of the field, Lewis, but you've got to get yourself there in the first place.
And when you are there, you've got to deal with the pressure down into turn one, and of course on that safety car restart. And I've got to say, Louis Sharp has been absolutely phenomenal thus far in this race. Of course, it's a circuit that he has raced at, obviously not this layout, but he has raced this circuit before. But still, unbelievable performance from him thus far. Can't make a mistake now, can't get complacent.
No, of course. The gap we say is a big gap at 1.5 seconds. That is only 1.5 seconds, and anyone that's done any racing to a high level knows that you can easily lose 1.5 seconds with a very, very small mistake. But he'll be hoping not to do that. Coming out to the final sector of the lap now, still looking with Jared Waberski as he hopes to gain one more position inside the top 10. But it looks unlikely at this stage. But what a dominant performance at the start of the season for a new driver to the championship, Louis Sharp.
Yep, indeed. Same as it was last year when we had a rookie driver take the victory here in the first race at Oulton Park. It's a rookie driver this year as well. Louis Sharp, welcome to the GB3 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. An incredible performance to take a victory over John Bennett and Ugo Chukwu. Do remember, for John Bennett, that is only his third podium in GB3. That is crazy. He had one in 22 right at the end of the season. He had only one last year at Silverstone, and now he has another one to add to this. Hopefully it's not his only one of the season.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed if it was. I think Bennett's going to be taking many, many more podiums, probably race wins. We know he's a good driver. We know that the JHR team are working well, and I think he's taken another step forward this year, but take nothing away from the man we're looking at right now. Louis Sharp, the New Zealander, coming over and doing the business, basically, Lewis.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those ones where we were expecting quite a lot from Louis Sharp. Were we expecting this? Were we expecting this? I mean, you were. You said he's your pick for the champion.
Expecting is a strong word, Lewis. I just basing my my guess on the evidence of testing this year so far. He's been right up there in every pre-season test day, and I think that Rodin Motorsport team have obviously got their act together. They've sorted it. They've got a good car underneath them. They won the championship last year. They're always there, and with Louis Sharp behind the wheel, it looks like so far it's going to be a hard combination to beat.
Yeah, indeed, they are looking absolutely phenomenally quick. Again, that is the championship winning team last year when it comes to the drivers. Of course, Callum Voisin behind the wheel of that. He's obviously moved on to the Rodin team in Formula 3. Is Louis Sharp following in those footsteps? I mean, he is absolutely incredibly quick, but pace in the first round. I mean, Logue started out the season really strongly and then struggled for a couple of rounds afterwards, so who knows?
Consistency is so important to a championship. We see it every year. It's a cliche, but it's true. You know, it's you need to be up there in every single round. You know, qualifying is so important in these single-seater championships. You need to put yourself in good positions to end up with results like the one we've just seen from Louis Sharp, and it's the drivers that have maybe a year's experience that often can use that experience to gain themselves that consistency.
Well, John Bennett set the fastest lap on the final lap of the race with a 1:30.514. Nowhere near the record-breaking lap time that Joseph Logue set last year, but it is a little bit warmer than it was actually last year. And we've been told as well that it's getting quicker and quicker as the races are going on. So who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. There is, of course, our race winner Louis Sharp out of the car as a victor, straight over to shake the hand of the driver that he beat in that victory. Of course, John Bennett. And then over to the massive man himself, Ugo Chukwu. He is absolutely huge. Just about struggled to fit in the car, but clearly that does not hold him back. Third position on debut, which, to be fair, had Louis Sharp not taken the victory, we'd be talking about how unbelievable the performance was there from Ugo Chukwu, who did a brilliant job there. We'll go down to Chris McCarthy, who's in Parc Ferme, talking to our podium finishers.
Thanks very much, Lewis. Yep, just down here now in Parc Ferme, we can see Louis Sharp in vision by first place. He's about to stick the winner's hat on. Just a couple more pictures getting ready. He's got the Pirelli hat, the winner's hat there. Let's get that on. He's got that first win of the season, just like the FIA Formula 3 road in motorsport driver. Let's get you by your car there, Louis Sharp. Joseph Loke, who got a win on his GB3 debut. Louis, now you get a win on your GB3 debut as well. The perfect start to the season. Lights to flag victory as well. You were challenged down towards turn 1. Let's start by talking a little bit about that first of all.
Yeah, no, dream start to the championship. After practice, I knew our pace was going to be strong. Obviously, to get pole position by I think 3/10 this morning was a bit of a surprise to me actually. Just showed the pace that we did have, and then it was a good race. My first ever start in GB3. It wasn't ideal. It wasn't the best of getaway. I think I had a bit of pressure from John into T1 into T2, but I was able to just stay in front. And then from that point onwards, obviously there was a safety car restart as well. So pretty much experienced it all in that first race. But no, I just kept it clean, just minimised mistakes, and I knew that the pace would be good.
Once you dealt with the challenges at the start and the safety car restart, after that then it was just putting the laps in and doing what we've seen you do in other championships and breaking away up front. Yeah,
just keeping it clean, to be honest, just trying to be as consistent as possible. There's no point when you're out in front pushing like it's a quality lap every lap, because you're just going to risk mistakes. So I knew how bad the dirty air was. I knew how limited the overtaking opportunities are around here. So I just kept it clean. I knew that as long as I didn't make a mistake, would be all right.
And a fantastic work, I'm sure, by the Road in Motorsport team as well. Tell us the work you've done with the team to make this a possibility straight off the bat.
Yeah, no, the team and myself have put in a lot of work over the winter. They've gotten me up to speed fairly quickly, but also the car's obviously very good. So I think it's a good start. It's a good formula so far. Hopefully this partnership can carry on being this strong for the rest of the season. But no, I think just really happy with the result. I'm really thankful for the team for giving me such a good race car.
And now I guess we look to continue to do the same in race 2, and then challenge yourself to see if you can move forward in the reverse grid race.
Yeah, we need the same again. Hopefully a better start this time, so a bit less pressure into turn 1. But no, yeah, same again. Another win would be amazing. And then in the last race, the top 12 reverse grid, obviously starting 12th will be tough, but I think we've got the pace to come through.
Fantastic start, well done. Getting a win on debut, superb stuff, just like we saw Joseph Loke do. He's now racing in FI Formula 3. Louis Sharp, winner on debut, the perfect start. Many tipping him to go on and challenge for the title this season. He is many people's tip for the championship. Let's go and speak to John Bennett. He's got the Pirelli cap on. John, a great start off the line there. Many thought you were going to go and take the lead there. I'm sure you did as well. You certainly went for it.
Yeah, I tried my best. I knew, Oulton turn 1's really your main opportunity of the race. Almost pulled off the move of my life into turn 1, but yeah, didn't quite get far enough alongside. Good race. Good points, P2. So.
As you said, good points on the board. And nevertheless, if you can't get that lead, it's just consolidate those points. And a good podium to kick off the season. You still must be very happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. It feels good to be back at the front of the field. Last year was a tricky year to start the season. In a strong way is good to build off of. And nice stack of points to start. So.
Well done to kick off the season, a podium there. Let's go and speak to Ugo Chukwu, third place for him. Fastest lap as well. Ugo, congratulations. Third place, fastest lap as well. So certainly had some fantastic pace out there, and looked like towards the end we were going to really see you challenging John. You must be very happy with the pace you got in the car.
Yeah, first start in the car, so it was not the best, dropped to P4, but managed to get back into P3 quite quickly. And then from there I was just trying to put as much pressure as possible on P2. I think the pace was very good, so I was able to put some pressure for a few laps, but then I lost the tires a little bit, so it dropped back a bit at the end. Overall to get a podium in the first race I think is quite decent.
And how have you enjoyed you're getting out in the car and racing around the Oulton Park circuit again? It must have looked like you were having great fun out there.
Yeah, it's still early days in the car, so still getting used to it, still improving each time. Obviously we want to be fighting for further up for the wins, but I think considering how the pace was in that first one, we can be quite confident going to the next 2 races.
podium straight off the bat, and fastest lap is a fantastic start. Congratulations, Ugo Ugachukwu, McLaren racing driver as well, one of the junior drivers. Well, there you can see, let's have a look. There are the top 3 drivers. Louis Sharp getting some interviews done in there. We're going to leave the assembly area here and go back to our commentator, Lewis McGlade, who's going to go through the highlights from the first race of the season.
And so then we'll take a quick look at the highlights from round number 1 of the GB3 Championship partnered by the BRDC. It was a bit of a calm and a bit of a tame start. Louis Sharp leading from pole position, fending off John Bennett, but it wasn't super easy for him. He did have John Bennett going around the outside through the first corner on the run up towards Cascades. Bennett was giving it a good go, but it was a great launch through that first corner at Old Hall, and Louis Sharp was able to hold on to the race lead. Out wide, just a touch there for Gerard Sheard. It was allowing Ugo Ugachukwu to come through to take 3rd position. Big crash in the background though, keep your eye on it. It was between James Headley and of course Aditya Kulkarni, who retired from the race there, and then the safety car had to come out once we got restarted. It was all fairly single file racing. Louis Sharp able to lead the field away and was able just to make minimal mistakes throughout the running of the race. Wilburski though was trying to get past Will McIntyre a little bit further down the order, that one being for 9th position, was unable to find a way past, and for the second consecutive year it is a rookie taking victory in the first race of the GB3 Championship partnered by the BRDC. Louis Sharp taking the victory with Bennett and Ugachukwu behind. Absolutely fantastic drive from Louis Sharp on debut. There is a look at your race results. Louis Sharp taking that victory with John Bennett in 2nd position. Ugachukwu in 3rd with Gerard Shee taking that 4th spot. Excellent drive from him. We obviously saw some great drives from him back in Spa last year, but this one seems to be a bit of a step above. He seems to be knocking towards the top on a consistent basis, of course, moving over from hill speed to high tech. Mackenzie Cresswell in 5th position. I think he'll be too disappointed with that, but I don't think he'll be too happy with it either. Kuharczyk on his high-tech Pulse 8 debut, of course, moving over from Douglas Motorsports in 6th position. Arthur Rojon in 7th, which I think was where he finished in the first race last season. Colin Queen, Will McIntyre, Jared Wilburski with Patrick Hoytson-Roder in 11th position. Ed Pearson and Josh Erfan, Noah Ping, Sebastian Murray in 15th position, with the final positions down there. The retirement only for Aditya Kulkarni. Between all of that was Flynn Jacks, of course, James Headley, Hugo Schwarzer, Sean Rashid and Rishabh Jain towards the rear of the field. Big shame there for Aditya Kulkarni with that retirement, but sometimes you just have a bad start to the season and you just need to find your footing for the 2nd race of the championship tomorrow. Again, it'll be back to the qualifying order, but from the 2nd fastest laps. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, because we're going to see the first podium of 2024, of course, bringing on Ugachukwu, who I'm going to make a prediction now, bold prediction. I'm pretty sure Ugachukwu might be taller than Louis Sharp, even though he's a step down on the podium. We'll have to wait and see. He's a very tall driver, is Ugachukwu. There is John Bennett into the 2nd step on the podium. Of course, again, for John Bennett, it is his 3rd podium in GB3. What a prediction. What an absolute prediction. Louis Sharp there onto the top step of the podium, taking the first victory of the season. That is a nice looking trophy, obviously being handed out there by Jonathan Palmer himself, of course, just passing over. We did chat to Jonathan Palmer before the race, of course, the guy behind the whole thing. Let's go with that, as Louis Sharp takes his 1st place trophy. And again, that was one that definitely will be celebrated quite nicely, but he'll have to do the same thing tomorrow in the 2nd race, and maybe he'll feel even more pressure for that. You've done it once, well, you've got to do it twice as well. That guy on the left though, John Bennett, definitely looking for his 1st race win in GB3. We'll go down to Piers Pryor though, who is in the paddock.
So that was a good start to the season, a very, very close race, if not the most action on the circuit. We're hoping to grab a word with some of the drivers when they eventually come round here to the media pen. Drivers getting themselves, of course, settled after the races, probably chatting to their engineers, talking about what they can improve with the car they're driving and bits and pieces like that. But let's have a look down the order. We've spoken the top 3 already, but I think it's worth talking about Gerard Shee, actually the leading high-tech Pulse 8 driver, and I think no disrespect to Gerard Shee, but I don't think many drivers or many people would have put him as the highest placed high-tech Pulse 8 driver based on last year's performances, because he struggled a little bit maybe last year, not consistently inside the top 10, but then in that race, 4th place, looked like he had good pace. Clearly the high-tech Pulsate car working well for him. It would be great to grab a word with him if he's about somewhere. We'll try and do that for you if we can. Also, just behind him, Mackenzie Cresswell. We spoke to Mackenzie at the media day before, which you would have seen in the pre-show. Mackenzie, 5th place. Probably he'll be so about that. He wants to be out there for wins and podiums, but I don't think he'll be too disappointed with the top 5 in the first race of the season. You know, just getting into the championship because he wants to be out there for the title. He's already said that. He's a very experienced driver, probably the highest seeded, in fact was the highest seeded driver from last year, 4th place in the championship last year, staying with the same team. Although saying that, also the Elite Motorsport team, they seem to go better at the sort of the open, faster circuits. Silverstone, Spa, they've been very good at. And of course, we've got that new the new race at Hungaroring coming up this year, which will be another interesting challenge for the teams and the drivers, trying to find the setup. Drivers have got a new circuit. They'll know it from the simulator, but very different in real life, as we all know. And it will really suit these GB3 cars. Also, I think it's worth looking a bit further down. Timothy Kuharczyk was in 6th place, and then 7th place Artur Rojon, 8th place Colin Queen. Colin actually had a very good race. You know, he's moved up from GB4. Coming inside the top 10 straight away would be, I think he'll be pretty happy with that. He's got some good comments. I have some good comments about that. But his teammate Edward Pearson, Edward, yeah, whatever. First race of the season out of the way, nearly towards the top 10, but very close race, even though there wasn't a huge amount of overtaking.
Yeah, I mean, we knew we were going to struggle here. I think this was sort of our Achilles heel out of all the races this year. So to qualify 14th, I could have done a better job. I think it was on me mainly for qualifying. But yeah, 14th up to 12th, I mean, you can't really do anything. Once I got behind Heitz and Rosa, I mean, you just can't do anything. So yeah, it's just trying to pressure them to make mistakes, and no one made really any mistakes. So no, okay first race, showed good pace, but more to come.
You mentioned qualifying there. We know qualifying is important in this championship, nowhere more so potentially than here, maybe Brands GP but as well, but you know, you mentioned you made a slight mistake in qualifying, but it was so close. I mean, I think it was a second down to 10th place, and if you ignore Louis Sharp at the front of the field with 2.5 tenths on everyone else, it was like a second would be down to, well, where you were. Yeah. So that's so fine, and you know, those fine margins are what make the difference. But just talk to us about what it's like in the car, and how, you know, where does that lap time come from?
Yeah, I mean, it comes from every little thing. I mean, for example, my best lap was meant to be like my sort of no push lap, but it was my best lap because I just put it together. But like, it's just little things. It's a 10th each corner, and that's what it's all about with this, especially this track. It's just about a little bit everywhere. And yeah, I mean, we struggled a lot yesterday, so we were sort of on the back foot coming into qualifying, so we just did our best.
Anyway, starts the season. Of course, it's your second season in the GB3 Championship, but you know, you're still pretty young, so you're learning and building, and you're further up the grid than you were last year. I suppose that's probably your goal for the rest of the season, just to keep working your way forward.
Yeah, I think our aim is just to build and build and build, and I think we'll sort of see big jumps when we go to tracks that we're really strong at. I think it's tough to start here, a track we're not very good at, but I think we could sort of make improvements, but then also big jumps, which is good.
Where do you think you're going to be strong this year?
Spa.
Spa, right. We'll look forward to that. Edward, Ed, what do you prefer?
It depends on the day of the week.
Let's go Edward. I'll go Edward. It's nice and formal, professional. Edward, thank you so much for chatting to us. We'll see you again on Monday. Enjoy your day off. Don't go too wild tonight, okay? Enjoy your day off. Edward Pearson for the Fortec Racing, Fortec Motorsport team there. He's a returning driver, second year, so using the experience he had from last year to build on for this year. Decent result, he said, but again, qualifying, so important. The drivers so close together, and I'm hoping we can grab a quick word with another one of our drivers, a driver from VRD who's just behind us actually here at the media pen, Sean Rashid. Sean returning for a second year. Sean, come on in. It'd be great to grab a word. Come on my right-hand side. Thank you so much. Sean, it's just chatting to Edward Pearson there. It's so tight out there. We were talking about qualifying being important, and you know, I think if you ignore Louis Sharp, a second took it down to like 14th, 15th place, and you weren't far off that, and it just makes it so hard to make progress in the races, right?
Yeah, I think the grid's definitely really tight this year, which just leaves less room for mistakes. I know, like in our tent, we all had so much more pace. I personally, like on my first stint, I got blocked in the last corner and lost like 7 tenths, and then went out and made a mistake in Druids and barely backed it into the wall, and so I didn't even really get any laps in for qualifying. But yeah, it's compounding because, you know, Oulton Park in general is just so unforgiving, and the grid being so tight, everyone knows that like during testing it's been really tight, so everyone's just trying to take that extra little bit, and so yeah, it's tough out there.
Very tough out there, but you mentioned to me in our chat before the season at the media day that your main goal for this season is just to, improve as a driver, come on a long way. I suppose with the grid being so tight, it's a great opportunity for everyone on the grid but yourself to just improve and, find those little extra bits and pieces that put a championship together.
Yeah, 100%. I think I always say I'm grateful to be in such a strong series because, strong competitors bring out the best in all of us, and when the grid's really tight, everyone's pushing for that little bit. And I think that's what makes GB3 so great, is that the racing is so good, the grid is so tight. Yeah, personally, I think I'm obviously disappointed, probably the same with my rest of my teammates. I think next outing we'll definitely have a better show of what our pace has been during testing and stuff.
Quick word on the team as well. Testing's been really good actually for the VRD team. I think the other circuits we visited, media day, right up there. Struggled a little bit today as a team, but I know you're going to bounce back. What's the outlook for the season going forward? Of course, we're only at the first round, but you've still got 2 races to go this weekend. But I know that you guys think that there's stronger races to come.
No, I think it's been super strong. I mean, we've all 3-4 drivers, even the guys testing with us, been top 10 a lot of the time in testing, preseason testing. So we definitely have the pace, even a lot of times top 5, top 2. I think it's a bitter pill to swallow, especially here at Oulton Park, because as most people know, it's just so difficult to race here with the wash and stuff. There's not many opportunities to make passes, so when you don't qualify well, you kind of know that your whole weekend is kind of ruined. You just kind of hope that people in front make mistakes. You might be able to make a spot or two, but generally once everyone gets into a line, that's just kind of how it is for the rest. Yeah, but for sure, once we get to Silverstone at the next event, we're going to have a much better showing, and that's a great track for racing. So, yeah, I think it'll be the outlook is really strong for VRD by Arden, and yeah, I think we're all looking forward to the next event right now.
Very quick word. Monday's looking changeable. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the one equalizer. That's the one thing we're kind of hoping for is if you're at the back. We've done a lot of testing in the wet. This year especially has been really wet here in England. So fortunately we've gotten a lot of wet testing, and I think that leaves a lot of opportunities open for passing. So hopefully, fingers crossed for some rain on Monday.
We'll see some sense from you on Monday then potentially, Sean. Thanks for catching up with us, and we'll see you on Monday and then of course the rest of the season. So we'll leave you to go and chill out, spend your Sunday doing whatever you do on a Sunday when you're not racing. Cheers, Sean. Right, so that's pretty much it from the drivers after the race. We are back again on Monday, and why don't we grab a quick word from Chris so we can round out the day's racing.
Yes, that is all. That is all from GB3 on a Saturday. Thoughts from yourself, Piers? Great to catch up with the drivers. First of all, thanks to those for joining us. A shame about the incident I think we had at the start, but after that, what was your thoughts on the race overall? I mean, it was I think drivers trying to get points on the board, wasn't it? And I think we saw that how tricky it is here at Oulton Park, isn't it? It's a tough circuit to get the moves done on at places, but it's a real driver's track.
Real driver's track. Qualifying probably the highlight for the drivers, one of the highlights of the year, because you really have to push here. But yeah, because it's so narrow, the walls are so close, and it's so tight and bumpy, that lends itself to the good driving feeling. But then when the races come about, very difficult to overtake unless the driver ahead makes a mistake. And as we've seen the level of the championship grow and grow year on year, this year probably the most competitive year we've had ever, potentially. So the drivers aren't making a huge amount of mistakes, which means that there's not a huge amount of overtakes for you guys at home. But looking ahead to Monday, the weather is going to be a factor for sure, and that will mix things up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think so. And team radios could have been playing a part as well, as they were introduced today. If you didn't hear about that in our pre-race show, do catch that in our next one. We're going to be racing 9:30 race 2 on Monday, but you can catch GB4. That's going to be coming up this afternoon, race 1 of the season, 5:10. That's all from myself, Piers, and Lewis. There's going to be more interviews being done from Naomi, from the drivers as well, so make sure you look out from those. But for now, from all of us here at Oulton Park, it is goodbye. We will see you for race 2 and 3 on Monday. Bye-bye.
The season is underway.